like to start out by telling you a little bit about myself. More importantly, why I can tell you about myself, without having to leave out certain things that are really important to me. Like, it's easy for me to tell you I'm an athlete. It's something to be proud of. It's also easy for me to tell you that I play volleyball at the international level, and I'm currently training with Team Canada in Gatineau, Quebec. That's also something to be proud of. Our culture makes heroes out of athletes, especially the ones wearing the maple leaf. I know this because I idolized them my entire life and feel very fortunate to now be one of those lucky players. There is something that I was ashamed of for a long time, though. It's why I'm here today. You see, a big part of my identity that I felt I always had to keep secret is that I'm gay. It's only been in the last while that I've been able to tell people. And if there's something I want everyone to take away, is not just how great it's been for me to finally not have to keep this big secret, but also how I gained the strength to come out. I'm not here to push anyone into feeling like they need to reveal something about themselves that they aren't comfortable with having everyone know. Everyone has to decide for themselves when the time is right. For me, it took a long time, and it was a long journey. So let me back it up a bit. There came a time when I didn't enjoy volleyball anymore. It was because of the isolation I felt being gay. I was lonely, perhaps depressed. Sure, I was having some success at it, but it wasn't fun anymore. There was something missing. Volleyball turned into the place where I would go to try and escape my own frustration and negativity. Eventually, my play started going downhill. I was in my second year of university and wasn't sure if I wanted to continue playing. That summer, I tried out for the national B team and was cut for the first time of my career. I was now too old for a provincial team, and so it was the first summer since I was 14 that I didn't play on a team. Up until this point, I only told one other person that I was gay, which was a year earlier and right after he told me he was. We kept it a secret and eventually grew apart. I was alone again. With all this time off during the summer, I had a lot of time to think about life and realized I didn't like where I was, and I knew that I was going to have to make some drastic changes. If it was a volleyball game, I kept getting set, but I kept tipping the ball because I wasn't willing to take a swing with the chance of failure. Volleyball is an incredible sport because it forces people to rise up to the occasion, like any sport. But where it differs is deeply rooted in the game. In volleyball, when the ball comes to you, you can't hide or pass off the responsibility like you might do with who does the dishes. In volleyball, you're forced to go after it, whether you're feeling it or not. Now, when your team sets you, because you only get 3 contacts, you aren't able to set someone else or to catch it. You have to try and do something. In other sports, you can catch it, analyze the situation, and then pass it off to another player. Not volleyball. In volleyball, getting set means your team's trusting you to make a play, and you have to try and do something. Now, of course, sometimes you'll get set, and there seemingly won't be any options, because the ball might not be where you want it, or there's a huge block in front of you. These situations are most difficult because you're forced to make something out of nothing. Now, it's these situations that sparks the creation of a metaphor that my friends and teammates like to use to talk about taking big chances. It's called swinging for hands. It's a volleyball thing. You see, I'm not the biggest guy. Internationally speaking, I'm quite short. And when I play against huge players, they have massive blocks that seem impossible to hit around. Now, like I said, I can't try and set someone else, so I have to try and do something. Basically, what I do is I take a hard swing at the ball so that it hits the opponent's block and goes out of reach of the other team, so that my team gets the point. It might make more sense if we think about it being used in another sport. My friends and I also have seen it being used a lot in pool. If you don't have any real options, you just take a hard swing at the cue ball and hope something goes in. Now, despite it not working that well in pool, in volleyball, it's a common thing, and it's an attitude that has helped change my life. It's this philosophy that changed my life because it gave me the attitude that it takes to come out of the closet and tell someone that I'm gay. You can think of it like playing against a massive team like Russia, and every time you're spiking, you have the next biggest block you've ever seen. Sure, you might be able to just put it in. Like in life, you can carry on even if it isn't going that well. But to score in volleyball, you have to be willing to go after it and challenge the obstacle. So after my second year of university during the summer, I was just chilling in my basement with my friend Derek. I knew I wanted to tell someone, but didn't know how to do it or what to say. So our conversation was getting pretty deep, and so after checking out a couple times, I just said it. It was an amazing feeling. I could actually feel the weight being lifted off my shoulders, like I was caged and got released. I was free. I got a new confidence in myself and started telling all my close friends. They all took it really well, and it actually brought us closer together because I knew I could be honest with them and that I didn't have to hide any longer. Now, it got to a point where all of my teammates, who were also my close friends, knew. However, they didn't know who else knew, and so it wasn't really talked about. So although I had told people, I was technically still in the closet because it was still secretive. Something you don't realize about closet athletes is that we overthink, misinterpret, and dwell on almost everything. In social situations, my mind would race at 110%, thinking about all the things that were going on. But you also see this in gyms, in locker rooms, and in everyday life as well. People in the closet can get hurt by the simplest of things. I was captain of my university team and wasn't sure how everyone would react. I didn't know if the other guys would dislike the fact that the person representing them was gay, or if they would feel weird about sharing a locker room. I'll give you another funny example. My coach on the national team is one of the hardest working people I know. He's so professional with everything he does and really embraces everything as a challenge that he will eventually succeed at. So one day, he was showing me how to improve my spike. Now, he's bilingual, but I think his first language was French, so the translation doesn't always come out 100%. So he goes, "Chris," and obviously now I'm terrified because I'm like, oh, what did I do? So he goes, "Chris, you have to focus on your orientation. You have to be straight." Now, luckily, because him and I know each other, I wasn't overanalyzing his intention or feeling down. Because I'm honest enough with myself, and I'm openly gay, we were able to laugh about it in a way I couldn't have years ago. Now, coming out was amazing, but I felt like I needed a gay friend, someone to talk to. I wasn't able to meet any because I didn't feel confident to myself to put myself out there, risking everyone, including my parents, finding out. Again, I found myself at a place where I had to decide whether to go for it or to sit back and see what happens. I discovered a gay drop-in volleyball league, but couldn't gain the courage to go to it. However, I knew that if I wanted to make a change, I couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore. This would be the first social setting where everyone would know that I'm gay. I can still remember the day exactly. My friend and I went really early because we were so nervous and we couldn't focus on anything else. I didn't want anyone to recognize me, so I wore street clothes and bad shoes and just tried to look like a scrub. I wanted to be anonymous because I didn't want anyone I knew to know that I was there. However, when I walked in the door, someone comes up to me and goes, "Hey, aren't you Chris Voth?" That made me even more nervous than I already was. At this point in my career, I had traveled the world playing volleyball. I had played in front of thousands of people, in finals, etc. But I don't think I was ever as nervous as I was then. I can even remember that I was shaking when I was going to bump. Luckily, this drop-in was the perfect situation for me. It combined something that I was totally comfortable with, volleyball, with something else that was extremely frightening. At the drop-in, I was just able to play and to interact with the other players. It wasn't until the gathering afterwards that they actually found out that I was gay. Again, I felt like I had come out of the closet, and I could see that there was light at the end of the tunnel. I saw these other gay people and how happy they were, just being open and true to themselves. It was amazing having friends that I could relate to. When returning to my university team for the first time, I felt like I was playing so much better because I didn't have any anchors holding me back. One teammate actually commented that I was jumping so much higher and asked if I took steroids during the break. And this drastic improvement isn't uncommon for gay athletes. In the past Summer Olympics in London 2012, 10 out of 23 openly gay athletes medaled, tying Argentina, Mexico, and Ethiopia in total medals and beating Georgia, Czech Republic, there we go, and beating Jamaica, Czech Republic, and Iran in gold medals. 10 out of 23 means just over 43% of these athletes medaled, compared to the overall average of 20%, and beating the US, who had the highest of all countries, at 39%. Where'd you go? No? Anyway, it says the same thing there too. Oh, there we go. Rest of the field, 20%, led Canada, US led the world. Over the years, 58% of all openly gay, lesbian, or intersex athletes have medaled at the Olympics. This is an incredible result. Athletes have always been worried about coming out because they don't know how it will affect their careers. But I can tell you firsthand that if you have the strength to prove to yourself that to come out, everything else seems much more achievable. So, however, it wasn't easy for me to become the first active openly gay national team athlete, though. And it wasn't really because of other people. It was because of the fears and the pressures I'd made up and put on myself. Before coming out, my relationship with my parents wasn't great. I would easily get frustrated or angry at them. I wish I could have just told them. It would have made life a lot easier. However, I didn't know that my fears didn't make sense because I didn't have a role model before me to show me. Up until this point, all the athletes I'd heard about coming out were either retired or I wasn't familiar with them. So I decided I would put myself out there for anyone who needed that little extra help just to go for it. I approached a writer from the Winnipeg Free Press for an idea for a story, and she agreed to write an article about my journey being gay and a national athlete. I was so nervous whether there'd be negative feedback or not, but the way I saw it is if one person got helped or inspired, then it would be a success. I had the support from my family and friends, and so I was ready to go for it. The day the article came out was humbling. I got messages from people across the world telling me how I changed their lives. And some of them even told me their stories and how hard it was for them. It was amazing to get such incredible feedback. I don't think it could have gone better. Now, some of these people also asked me for advice on how they should come out or where to get the strength to do it. I feel that it was through volleyball where I learned the attitude to just go for it. In volleyball, almost every skill doesn't allow for enough time for you to think whether or not you can do something. You just have to do it. If you're feeling like there's no way out, you can always swing for hands. Don't think about all the reasons you can't do something or what might happen if it doesn't go to plan. I've been able to use this philosophy in volleyball to come out of the closet to meet the amazing guy that I'm now dating and really to live life to the fullest. Volleyball teaches amazing things. It teaches you that you can swing for hands in life, to do what your instinct tells you is right, and to not let your fears paralyze you or dictate your moves. Everyone is faced with challenges. It could be in sport, coming out of the closet, facing something that threatens to immobilize you, or just being the truest version of yourself. So don't hold back. Aim high on the block. Swing hard. And you might just surprise yourself with what you can accomplish. Thank you.